I stood in that Alabama courtroom, 72 years heavy on my bones, expecting a quick fix for a fence dispute with my white neighbor. Judge Harlan Vance smirked, called me boy, and joked about my kind stealing land. Laughter stung. Worse than the $500 fine he slapped on me. I limped out head high when a clerk's note hit my palm. Your medals, they know. My blood burned. Could my war hero past shatter this? Drop a comment where you watching from, if. Justice matters. Hit like, subscribe. Tomorrow's episode's a game changer. My boots crunched gravel as I trudged back to my one-story house, the Alabama sun baking my neck like it did in '68 when I hauled a wounded squad through Vietnam's jungles. That courtroom still churned in my gut. Judge Harlan Vance's smirk, his boy jab, the crowd's snickers, they clawed deeper than the $500 fine. My fingers grazed the note in my pocket. Your medals, they know. Who knew? Why slip it now? 50 years ago, I'd earned a silver star, pinned by General Marcus Tate himself, a man who swore he'd always have my back. His number sat in my old address book, untouched since '75. Maybe it was time. I unlocked my door, the familiar creak of warped wood greeting me. This place wasn't much peeling paint, a sagging porch, but it was mine, bought with sweat and blood after the war. The fence dispute with Dale Carver, my neighbor, was supposed to be a quick fix. His new picket line cut 3 feet into my yard, slicing off my late wife's rose garden. I'd asked him to move it. He laughed, said, "This ain't your land, old man." Then came Vance's gavel, and I was out $500 I didn't have. I sank into my armchair, the springs groaning under my 72 years. My eyes drifted to a faded photo on the mantel. Me in uniform, young, unbroken, Tate's arm around my shoulder. We'd saved 12 men under fire, him barking orders, me dragging bodies through mud. He'd called me a hero, promised if I ever needed him, he'd answer. I rubbed my temples, the notes weighed heavy. Somebody knew about my past. Could it shift this mess? I needed that fine gone, my land secure. Carver's voice broke my thoughts, loud and slurred from his porch across the way. "Told y'all I'd teach that old fool a lesson," he crowed, clinking beers with 2 buddies in trucker caps. "Ain't no way he's keeping that plot." "How?" Their laughter boiled my blood, but I stayed put. Rushing over would just give them ammo. Instead, I pulled out my phone, a clunky flip model Tasha, my niece, insisted I keep. I called her, voice low. "Tasha, you know any lawyers? That judge, he's crooked. I need to appeal." She was quiet a moment, then said, "Uncle Cal, I'll find someone. Don't let them break you." Her voice steadied me like her mama's. Used to. By morning, Tasha had a name. Anita Cole, a young black attorney in Montgomery who took on small-town corruption. I met Anita at a diner, her sharp eyes scanning my paperwork over coffee. "Vance's ruling stinks of bias," she said, tapping her pen, "calling you boy on record. That's our leverage. We'll file an appeal, cite judicial misconduct, and push for a stay on the fine." Her confidence lit a spark. For the first time since that courtroom, I felt a sliver of control. We filed the appeal that afternoon, Anita's fingers flying over her laptop in the library's quiet corner. I sat across, watching folks glance my way, some curious, some cold. Word of the hearing had spread. A week later, Anita called, her voice bright. "Calvin, we got it. The county court granted a temporary stay on the fine pending a review. Vance's nose is out of joint, but you're clear for now." I exhaled, leaning against my kitchen counter, the phone pressed to my ear. "That's a start, Anita. Thanks." "You?" I hung up, picturing my roses blooming again, my land untouched. I stepped outside, the evening air cool, and stared at Carver's fence, its white pickets mocking me. For a moment, I thought I'd won a round. Then Carver's truck roared into his driveway, tires spitting dust. He hopped out, face red, eyes locked on me. "You think you're slick, huh?" he spat, stomping closer. "Filing papers, playing victim, this ain't over." His buddies flanked him, one cracking his knuckles. I stood tall, my war days teaching me never to flinch. "Back off, Dale, court's handling it." He sneered, stepping into my yard. "Court? Vance runs this town, you're nothing here." I held my ground, heart pounding, until he backed off, muttering curses. The next morning I woke to a sheriff's notice taped to my door. My stomach sank as I read, "Carver had accused me of trespassing on his land, my own damn yard." The claim was absurd, but Vance's name was scrawled at the bottom, ordering a hearing in 3 days. I called Anita, my voice tight. "They're coming for me again." She cursed under her breath. "Vance is doubling down. We'll fight." "It, Calvin, but brace yourself." The hearing came fast. I sat in that same courtroom, Vance's eyes glinting with malice. Carver lied through his teeth, claiming I'd torn down his fence at night. I hadn't touched it. Anita argued, presented my deed, but Vance cut her off. "Enough," he snapped. "Brooks, you're a nuisance. I'm issuing a warrant to seize this disputed property, your whole lot, for public use." My chest tightened. My home, my wife's roses, everything. "You can't," I said, voice low. Vance leaned forward, grinning. "I just did." That afternoon, sheriff's deputies rolled up in 3 trucks. I stood on my porch, fists clenched, as they stormed inside. They didn't just serve papers, they trashed everything. Drawers dumped, dishes shattered, my old uniform ripped from its frame. One deputy, a kid with a buzz cut, sprayed "Go Back" in red paint across my living room wall. Another scrawled a slur I won't repeat on the kitchen counter. I grabbed my photo with Tate, the only thing I could save, and stumbled out as they padlocked my door. Neighbors watched, some whispering, others turning away. Carver stood across the street, arms crossed, smirking like he'd won the lottery. I clutched the photo, my medal's memory burning in my mind. That note, someone knew who I was. But now, homeless, my land stolen, Vance's boot on my neck, I felt the war all over again. Not the one in Vietnam, but the one I'd faced my whole life, black, proud, and targeted. I dialed Tasha, my voice hoarse. "I need a place to crash." She didn't hesitate. "Come to me, Uncle Cal. We'll figure this out." As I walked away, the sun dipping low, I glanced back at my house, now a battleground. Vance thought he'd buried me. Carver thought he'd won. But I'd crawled through worse than this, carried men through gunfire, earned scars that outlasted their hate. That note meant someone saw me, my truth, my fight. I'd call Tate if I had to. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. Tasha's apartment smelled of coffee and courage, but my heart still ached from losing my home. At 72, I'd seen wars, Vietnam's jungles, Alabama's courts, but nothing prepared me for this. My niece's spare room, with its creaky, cotton-faded quilt, was my refuge now. I clutched the photo of me and General Marcus Tate, his arms slung around my younger self, both of us grinning after surviving hell. His promise echoed, "Calvin, you ever need me, I'm there." I hadn't called yet, but that note from the courthouse? "Your medals, they know," gnawed at me. Who was watching? I set the photo down, my Silver Star days flashing back. I'd carried men through gunfire, earned scars that outlasted hate. Vance's smirk, Carver's gloat, the deputies' slurs spray-painted on my walls. They thought they'd broken me. They didn't know I'd faced worse. Tasha burst in, her nurse's scrubs wrinkled from a double shift. "Uncle Cal, I found something." She held up her phone, a website for the Alabama Black Veterans Alliance. "They fight for folks like you, they'll rally." Her eyes blazed, same fire as her mama's. I nodded, hope flickering. "Make the call." By noon, I was on the phone with Leon Harris, the group's leader, a gruff ex-Marine who'd lost a leg in Iraq. My story poured out. Vance's boy jab, the $500 fine, Carver's lies, my land stolen, my home trashed. Leon didn't flinch. "Brother, we've got your back. We'll march on that courthouse Saturday. Bring the press?" "Shame, Vance." I exhaled, feeling the tide shift. Maybe my medals meant something after all. Saturday came fast. Tasha drove us to the courthouse square where 50 veterans gathered, their old uniforms patched but proud. Leon handed me a megaphone, his prosthetic leg glinting. "Tell him, Calvin." I stepped up, heart pounding like before a patrol. The crowd swelled hundreds now, black and white, phones filming, local news vans parked nearby. "I fought for this country," I said, voice steady. "Earned a Silver Star, saved lives, But Judge Harlan Vance calls me boy, steals my home, lets deputies paint slurs on my walls. I'm no thief. I'm a veteran, and I want justice. Cheers erupted, fists raised. Tasha hugged me, whispering, "You did it." A reporter shoved a mic in my face, asking about Vance. I kept it tight. He's biased, I'm appealing. By Monday, the rally was all over the News Birmingham stations, even a clip on CNN. Anita, my lawyer, called, voice electric. "Calvin, the state court spooked. They've set a new hearing to review Vance's ruling. Your speech lit a fire." I grinned, sitting on Tasha's couch, the first real win since this mess started. The veteran slapped my back at a diner meetup, toasting my name. Leon raised a glass. "To Calvin, who showed 'em we don't break." I thought of my wife's roses, maybe blooming again soon. Victory felt close, like a hill we'd just taken. Then it all went to hell. Saturday's rally replayed in my mind as I walked with Tasha to the square for a follow-up vigil. The crowd was smaller, maybe 100 holding candles. I scanned faces, my war instincts prickling. Something felt off, too many strangers, too quiet. Leon was mid-speech when a truck screeched nearby. Masked men, 6 or 7, leaped out, black rifles gleaming. No badges, just hate in their eyes. Shots cracked the air, and screams swallowed the night. I dove, pulling Tasha behind a bench, my body shielding hers like I'd done for boys in Nam. Bullets chipped stone, glass shattered, people ran. I counted the shooters' positions, 2 by the truck, 3 fanning out, 2 circling. My hands shook, but my mind was clear. "Stay low," I hissed to Tasha. I crawled to Leon, who clutched his side, blood seeping. "Hang on," I said, ripping my shirt to bind his wound. I grabbed a kid nearby, frozen, and shoved him toward an alley. "Run!" More shots, but I kept moving, dragging a woman to cover, then another. My knees burned, my breath ragged, but I'd be damned if I let these cowards win. Sirens wailed and the shooters bolted, their truck peeling out. I knelt by Tasha, her arm grazed, blood trickling. "I'm okay," she gasped, but her eyes were wide, terrified. Paramedics swarmed, cops too, their faces hard. I helped Leon to a stretcher, his hand gripping mine. "You saved us, Cal." But the cops didn't see a hero. One grabbed my arm, snarling, "You started this, didn't you?" I yanked free, pointing at Tasha's wound. "We're the victims." He didn't care. By morning, the news had twisted it all. Channel 6 ran a headline, "Black Veteran Incites Courthouse Riot." They showed my rally speech, cut to make me sound like a thug, then looped footage of the chaos, implying I'd planned it. My name was poison now. Tasha, patched up, stared at her phone, tears falling. "They're lying, Uncle Cal. Why?" I knew why. Vance, that snake, had slithered out of the spotlight, but his stink was all over this. Anita confirmed it later, her voice low. "Calvin, I got a tip. Vance tipped off a militia group called 'em Patriots. They targeted the rally to shut you up." My fists clenched, the note in my pocket heavy again. Someone knew my truth. But Vance's lies were louder. The new hearing was still on, but now I was a pariah, my fight branded as violence. Tasha's wound, Leon's blood, the crowd's screams, they weighed on me. I'd saved lives, just like in Nam, but this war was dirtier. Vance wasn't just a judge. He was a puppet master, pulling strings I couldn't see. Drop a comment. With number 1 if you're raging at how they twisted Calvin's heroism into a lie, then hit like and subscribe to follow this fight for justice. How deep does Vance's reach go, and can Calvin's medals outshine his smears? Tasha's apartment was a battlefield now, her bandaged arm a reminder of the rally's blood. At 72, I'd seen Death Vietnam's jungles taught me that, but seeing my niece wince as she poured coffee cut deeper than any bullet. The VU TV blared Channel 6, replaying my rally speech, twisted to paint me as a thug. "Black Veteran Incites Riot," the ticker read, my face plastered like a wanted poster. My silver star, my truth, buried under Vance's lies. That note, "Your medals, they know," sat heavy in my pocket. Who knew? Why hadn't they spoken? I sank onto the couch, the springs creaking under my weight. Tasha muted the TV, her eyes fierce. "Uncle Cal, We can't let them win. You saved lives out there. I nodded, but the weight of it, Leon's blood, the crowd screams, Tasha's wound pressed hard. Judge Harlan Vance wasn't just a racist. He was a snake, coiling tighter. Anita Cole, the lawyer Tasha found, was my only shot now. She'd called after the rally, her voice sharp with purpose. Calvin, your speech went viral. People are listening. I'm digging into Vance. I trusted her, but trust was a fragile thing in this town. Anita showed up that afternoon, her briefcase stuffed with files. She sat at Tasha's kitchen table, papers spread like a war map. Vance is dirty, she said, sliding me a printout. He's been meeting with a militia group, same ones who hit the rally. I've got names, dates, a paper trail. My pulse quickened. This was ammo. Can you use it? I asked. She grinned, all teeth. Already drafting a motion to disqualify him for bias and corruption. We'll push your case to state court out of his claws. I exhaled, a spark of hope flaring. If Vance lost his grip, maybe I'd get my land back, clear my name. Anita filed the motion the next day, her laptop humming as she typed in the library's back room. I sat nearby, watching folks pass. Some nodded, others glared. The rally had split the town, and my face was its lightning rod. By evening, Anita got word. The state court accepted the motion. Vance was off the case, and a new judge in Montgomery would hear my appeal. I gripped Tasha's hand, her smile mirroring mine. We're moving up, Uncle Cal. For a moment, I believed it. My home, my wife's roses, my honor, they felt close enough to touch. I should have known better. 2 nights later, I was fixing dinner beans and cornbread, Tasha's favorite, when the world exploded. Red and blue lights flashed through the windows. Sirens screaming. Tasha froze, her fork clattering. What the hell? I peered out, heart pounding. 3 SWAT vans blocked the street, black-clad figures spilling out, rifles up. A megaphone blared. Calvin Brooks, come out, hands high. Tasha grabbed my arm. Uncle Cal, don't... But I raised my palms, stepping to the door. Stay back, Tasha. I opened it, squinting into floodlights. A boot kicked my chest, slamming me to the floor. Cuffs bit my wrists cold and tight. You're under arrest, a voice growled. Drug trafficking. My head spun. What drugs? I'm clean. They didn't listen. They dragged me outside, Tasha screaming behind. Me. Her apartment was torn apart, couch slashed, lamps smashed, her nurse's degree ripped from the wall. I caught a glimpse of my old truck, impounded after the land seizure, parked nearby. A cop held up a baggie of white powder, grinning. Found this in your rig, Brooks. My stomach dropped, planted. Vance's stench was all over it. They shoved me into a van, the door slamming like a coffin lid. At the station, they booked me, fingerprints smudging ink, my mugshot snapped under harsh lights. The desk sergeant, a paunchy guy with a buzz cut, sneered. Silver Star, huh? More like gang trinkets. My medals, my pride mocked again. I clenched my jaw, saying nothing. They tossed me in a cell, the bars clanging shut. The TV in the guard. Room played Channel 6, looping my arrest. Decorated veteran turned drug lord, the anchor said, showing that damn baggie. My name, my honor, dragged through mud. Tasha visited the next day, her eyes red, arms still bandaged. They won't let me post bail, Uncle Cal. It's $50,000. 50,000. Might as well have been $1 million. Anita's working on it, she said, voice cracking. She says Vance set this up to bury you. I gripped the bars, my knuckles whitening. He's scared, Tasha. That motion hit him where it hurts. But scared men were dangerous, and Vance was a viper. I sat on the cell's cot, the concrete cold under me. My mind raced back to Vietnam, to nights in the dark, waiting for the enemy. I'd survived ambushes, carried men to safety. But this was a different war cop's court's lies. My medals meant nothing to them. That note, though, it meant someone saw me, my truth. I pulled it out, the paper worn. Your medals, they know. Was it Anita? Leon? Someone higher? I tucked it away, my resolve hardening. Vance thought he'd caged me, turned my fight into a rap sheet. But I'd faced death before, stared it down. This cell wasn't my end. Anita was out there, digging. Tasha was fighting. And Tate, his number was still in my book. I'd call him if I had to, bring hell down on Vance. But for now, I was trapped, my name slandered, my hope a flicker in the dark. I closed my eyes, picturing my wife's roses, their petals defiant against the ash. Vance's frame-up was tight, but I'd break it. I had to. The cell's concrete bit into my hips, the cot's thin mattress no match for 72 years of scars. Jail smelled of rust and despair, but I'd known worse. Vietnam's mud, blood in my boots. My silver star meant nothing here. Judge Harlan. Vance had me caged, his drug frame up tight as a noose. The TV beyond the bars looped my mugshot, Channel 6 branding me a dealer. My medals, mocked as gang trinkets, burned in my mind. Tasha's visit yesterday, her eyes red, her arm, still bandaged from the rally, haunted me. $50,000 bail might as well be $1 million. I gripped the note in my pocket, its edges frayed. Your medals, they know. Someone saw my truth, but Vance's lies roared louder. I'd fought for this country, carried men through gunfire, earned a star pinned by General Marcus Tate. His promise made in '75 echoed, Calvin, I'm always there. I hadn't called him in decades, but now locked in this cage I had no choice. I begged a guard for paper, my voice low. Need to write a letter. He snorted, tossing me a stubby pencil and a torn sheet. I scratched out my plea, each word heavy. General Tate, it's Calvin Brooks, Alabama's crushing me, false charges, racist judge, need your help. I listed it all, Vance's boy slur, my stolen land, the rally's blood, the planted drugs. My hand shook, not from age, but rage. I sealed it, praying Tate still cared. Tasha got it mailed, her voice crackling through the jail's phone. It's sent, Uncle Cal. Anita's fighting too. Anita Cole, my lawyer, was a bulldog digging into Vance's dirt. She'd already moved my case to state court, out of his grip. But Vance was a viper, and I braced for his next strike. Days crawled, the cell's damp walls closing in. Guards whispered slurs, their boots echoing like war drums. I kept my head down, my war instincts sharp watch, listen, survive. Then, a week later, a guard banged the bars. Brooks, you're out. Bail's dropped. I blinked, heart racing. How? He shrugged. Some big shot pulled strings. I stepped into the sunlight, Tasha waiting, her hug fierce despite her bandaged arm. It was Tate, she said, eyes bright. Anita got a call from the Pentagon. He leaned on the DA. My chest loosened, hope sparking. Tate hadn't forgotten. At Tasha's apartment, Anita laid it out over coffee, her laptop glowing. General Marcus Tate's a legend Pentagon royalty. He called in favors, got your bail erased. I'm building a case to expose Vance's frame-up witnesses, forensics, his militia ties. She tapped a file. That drug plant's sloppy. We'll bury him. I nodded, picturing my home, my wife's roses, my name cleared. For the first time in weeks I slept deep, Tasha's couch a throne compared to that cot. I woke thinking I'd turned the tide, that Vance's grip was slipping. I was dead wrong. 2 days later, Tasha's phone buzzed with a news alert. She gasped, shoving it at me. Channel 6's headline screamed, Veterans Drug Confession Rocks Alabama. The video showed me, grainy, distorted, but my face sitting in a room saying, I sold the stuff, needed cash. My voice, but not my words. I'd never said it, never been there. The anchor piled on. Calvin Brooks, once a hero, now a disgrace. My stomach churned. It's fake, I growled. Tasha's eyes welled. Who'd believe this? Everyone, it turned out. By noon, the Alabama Black Veterans Alliance called. Leon Harris, his voice heavy, said, Calvin, we're dropping support. This video's killing us. Donors are bailing. I clutched the phone, my rally speech, my blood-soaked shirt all erased. Leon, it's a lie. Vance did this, he sighed. I want to believe you, brother, but the world don't. Click. I slammed my fist into the table, pain shooting up my arm. Tasha jumped, her coffee spilling. Then her phone rang again, her hospital job. I heard the supervisor's cold tone through the speaker. Tasha, your family's ties to crime, we can't keep you. She hung up, tears falling. They fired me, Uncle Cal, because of you. Her words cut deeper than any slur. I dragged her down with me. Anita stormed in that evening, her face thunder. Vance leaked that video, no source, no chain of custody. It's a hack job, but it's everywhere. I paced, my boots scuffing Tasha's rug. How's he doing this? He's just a judge. Anita shook her head. Not just. He's got money, connections, maybe higher than we know. I stopped, the note burning in my pocket. Someone knew my medals, but Vance knew how to twist knives. The video played everywhere, bar TVs, gas station, screens, social media. Neighbors who'd nodded at the rally now crossed the street. Kids threw rocks at Tasha's windows shouting dealer. My name, my honor, my family all torched. I sat on the couch, Tasha's head on my shoulder, her sobs quiet. I'd thought Tate's call was my lifeline, but Vance had snapped it. Anita was still fighting, but the world saw a criminal, not a hero. My medals, my truth were drowning in lies. I pulled out Tate's number, my last card. He'd gotten me out, but could he stop this? I dialed, his voicemail crisp. Leave a message. I did, voice low. Marcus, it's Calvin. Vance is killing me. Help. I hung up, staring at Tasha's cracked window, the night pressing in. Vance thought he'd won, but I'd crawled through worse mud-blood hate. This wasn't my end. Drop a comment with number 1 if you're sick of seeing Calvin's truth buried by Vance's lies, then hit like and subscribe to see this fight unfold. Can Tate's power break through, or will Vance's next move crush Calvin for good? The jail cell's echo still clung to me, though I was back in Tasha's apartment, her cracked windows letting in a chill. At 72, I'd faced ambushes in Vietnam, but Judge Harlan Vance's war was dirtier. His doctored video making me confess to drug deals had turned the world against me. Tasha, fired from her nursing job, barely spoke, her bandaged arm a reminder of the rally's blood. The Alabama Black Veterans Alliance had cut me loose, my silver star marked as a thug's trophy. That note, your medals they know, was my only spark, but its mystery faded under Vance's lies. I sat on Tasha's couch, my old photo with General Marcus Tate in my hands, his grin a lifeline. I'd called him last night, left a desperate voicemail. His Pentagon pull had sprung me from jail, but could it stop this? Anita Cole, my lawyer, was my other hope. She'd texted at dawn. Found gold, meet me. I pulled on my jacket, Tasha stirring. Be careful, Uncle Cal, she whispered, eyes heavy. I nodded, stepping into Montgomery's grey morning, my boots scuffing asphalt. Anita waited at a corner diner, her laptop open, coffee steaming. She slid me a stack of papers, her voice low. Vance's drug plant was sloppy. I've got a lab report. Those baggies in your truck had no fingerprints, no DNA. Plus a witness, a tow driver, saw a cop slip something in before the raid. My pulse quickened. A soldier spotting an opening. That's enough to clear me, she nodded, fierce. More. I've got bank records. Vance paid off that cop. We're filing to dismiss the charges, hearing set for Friday. I gripped the table, hope surging. Friday, 3 days away. If we nailed Vance, I'd get my name back, maybe my land. My wife's roses. Anita leaned in. There's more. Tate's team called. Pentagon's backing us, sending a liaison to the hearing. Vance is cornered. I pictured Tate, his voice booming in Nam, rallying us through hell. If he was in, Vance's throne was shaking. I walked back to Tasha's, my step lighter, the city's hum almost kind. For the first time since that courtroom's boy slur, I felt the tide turning. My medals, my truth might outshine Vance's lies. I should have known he'd strike harder. Friday morning I dressed, sharp old suit, pressed shirt, my silver star pinned discreetly inside my jacket. Tasha hugged me, her bandage gone but her eyes wary. You got this, Uncle Cal. We drove to the state courthouse, a towering brick building, its steps crawling with reporters. Anita met us, her briefcase stuffed, her smile tight. Tate's liaison is inside. Let's bury Vance. The courtroom buzzed, packed with faces, some friendly, most cold. The new judge, a stern white woman named Hargrove, took the bench. I sat beside Anita, Tasha behind me, my heart steady like before a mission. Anita stood, laying out the lab report, the tow driver's affidavit, Vance's bank transfers. Your Honor, the charges against Calvin Brooks are a sham, orchestrated by Judge Harlan Vance to silence a war hero. Hargrove's eyes narrowed, scanning the evidence. I leaned forward, victory close enough to taste. Then chaos erupted. A bailiff burst in, shouting, "Clear the room! Bomb threat! Gasps filled, the air chairs scraping. Anita grabbed my arm, but cops swarmed, shoving us toward the exits. Outside, sirens wailed, bomb squad trucks rolling up. Tasha clung to me, her breath fast. What's happening? I scanned the crowd, my war instinct screaming. This wasn't random. Reporters shouted questions, cameras flashing. By noon, Channel 6 had the story. Bomb threat linked to black extremists, veteran Calvin Brooks suspected. My face was back on every screen, now branded a terrorist. The hearing was cancelled. Hargrove's gavel silent. Anita, pale, pulled us aside. Vance did this. My source says he tipped off a militia to call in the threat, pinned it on your allies. He's painting you as a domestic threat. My fists clenched, my medals heavy against my chest. He's scared of the truth, Anita nodded. But now there's a manhunt. You're not safe. Tasha's eyes widened. They'll kill him. I hugged her, my voice low. I'll be okay. Get to your friend's place. Stay low. She sobbed but nodded. Anita slipped me a burner phone. Hide, Calvin. I'll keep fighting. I slipped away, heart pounding, as cop cars circled the courthouse. My name, my honor, my fight. Vance had torched them again. I hitched a ride with a sympathetic cabbie, an old black man who'd seen the rally. Ain't right what they're doing, he muttered, dropping me near an abandoned mill 10 miles out. The mill's rusted walls loomed, its broken windows gaping like wounds. I slipped inside, the air thick with dust, my boots crunching glass. Moonlight spilled through cracks, lighting my path to a corner piled with crates. I sank down, my body aching, Tate's promise ringing hollow. He'd sent help, but Vance's trap was tighter. The burner buzzed. Anita. They're hunting you. Calvin? Feds too, stay hidden, I'm digging into the threat. I whispered, thanks, and hung up, the mill's silence pressing in. My photo with Tate, creased from my pocket, was all I had left. I'd saved lives, carried men through fire, but now I was a fugitive, my medals a ghost. Vance's bomb ploy had turned hope to ash. His militia ties a blade at my throat. I closed my eyes, Vietnam's jungles blending with Alabama's shadows. I'd survived worse, but this war was endless. Tate was out there, Anita too. I'd fight on, but for now I was prey, hiding in the dark. The abandoned mill's shadows swallowed me, its rusted beams groaning under the weight of my 72 years. I crouched behind crates, the burner phone's faint glow my only light. Judge Harlan Vance had branded me a terrorist, his courthouse bomb threat pinning me as a black extremist. My silver star, earned in Vietnam's hell, was dust to them. Tasha was hiding at a friend's, her job gone, her arm scarred from the rally. General Marcus Tate's Pentagon promise felt like a ghost now, my call to him unanswered. The note, your medals, they know, was a riddle I couldn't crack, its paper worn in my pocket. I'd fled Montgomery's manhunt, a cabbie's mercy landing me in this crumbling mill 10 miles out. Sirens haunted the distance, cops and feds hunting me like I was prey. My breath steadied, war instincts kicking in, watch, wait, move. Anita's last words on the burner echoed, stay hidden, I'm digging. But Vance's claws were deep, his militia ties a noose tightening. I needed help, not just Tate's clout, but boots on the ground. At dawn, the burner buzzed, an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. A woman's voice, low and clipped, said, Calvin Brooks, don't speak. Walk 2 miles east, old barn by the creek, we're friends. Click. My gut churned, trap or lifeline. Vietnam taught me to trust my bones, and they said move. I slipped out, the mill's dust clinging to my boots, and trekked through pines, the creek's gurgle guiding me. The barn loomed, its red paint flaking. A woman, mid-30s, dreadlocks tied back, stood inside, her eyes scanning me. I'm Naya, she said, Underground Network. We saw your rally, know Vance's game. You're with us now. 2 others, a wiry man named Jamal and a tech-savvy kid called Zoe, nodded. Nia's grip was firm, her voice steel. We're getting you to Georgia safe house, then we hit Vance. I exhaled, hope flickering. They were black activists, ghosts to the system, fighting for folks like me. By nightfall, Jamal drove us across state lines in a beat-up van, Zoe tapping a laptop, hacking traffic cams to dodge feds. I clutched my photo with Tate, my medals memory heavy. Nia caught my look. "You're a hero, Calvin. We'll prove it." The safe house, a brick duplex in a quiet Atlanta suburb, smelled of sage and old books. Nia's Team 6 total set me up in a basement room, a cotton lamp, my new world. Zoe cracked Vance's email server by morning, her screen glowing with proof. Vance funneled cash to the militia that hit my rally, paid the cop who planted drugs, even funded the bomb threat. "This is dynamite," Nia said, pacing. "We leak this, hold a press conference, clear your name." I leaned over Zoe's shoulder, reading Vance's cold words. "Brooks is a threat. End him." My fists clenched, but hope surged. A press. Conference cameras, truth. My medals shining. Nia planned it for Tuesday, 2 days out at a community center. I memorized lines, picturing Vance's smirk crumbling, Tasha's job back, my land free. Jamal drilled me on escape routes, Nia on media traps. Zoe encrypted the emails, ready to blast them online. Monday night I slept sound, dreaming of my wife's roses blooming under a free sky. I thought we'd outsmarted Vance, that my truth would finally break through. Then the world exploded. At midnight, boots thundered upstairs, glass shattered, shouts split the air. "Police, hands up!" Nia's voice hissed through the basement door. "Calvin, run!" I grabbed my jacket, Tate's photo, and bolted for the back hatch. Jamal had shown me. Gunshots cracked, a scream, Zoe's cut short. My heart sank, but my legs moved, Vietnam's muscle memory driving me. I crawled through the hatch, into a dark alley, as flashlights swept the house. A SWAT team, black-clad, stormed in, rifles blazing. I ran, lungs burning, ducking behind a dumpster as sirens screamed. Zoe's scream echoed. Had they shot her? I peered back, seeing Nia dragged out in cuffs, Jamal nowhere. The safe house glowed. With police lights, a body bag carried out. Zoe, her laptop, her spark gone. My chest tightened, guilt clawing me. I'd brought this. Vance's shadow loomed, his reach endless. I stumbled through Atlanta's back streets, my burner dead. Zoe's encrypted drive lost in the raid. Dawn found me in a vacant lot, crouched behind rusted cars. Nia's words rang, "There's always a mole." Someone had sold us out, taken Vance's cash. The press conference was ashes, the emails destroyed, my terrorist label cemented. Channel 6 would spin this. Brooks' extremist cell raided, one dead. My name, my fight, my allies torched again. I pulled Tate's photo, his grin mocking me. He'd tried, but Vance played dirtier. Tasha was out there, scared, maybe next. Anita was fighting, but alone. I'd lost my home, my honor, now Zoe's life. My medals felt like lead, but I wasn't. Done. Vietnam taught me one thing. You don't quit when the jungle burns. I'd find another way, another fight. Vance thought he'd buried me, but I was still breathing. Drop a comment with number 1 if you're gutted by Zoe's death and Vance's betrayal. Then hit like and subscribe to see Calvin's next move. How can Calvin strike back when everyone he trusts is a target? Atlanta's vacant lot was a graveyard of rusted cars, their shadows my only shield at 72. Zoe's scream from the safe house raid echoed in my skull, her death a weight heavier than my silver star. Judge Harlan Vance's mole had sold. Us out, his SWAT team torching my hope. Nia in cuffs, Jamal gone, the hacked emails lost. My terrorist label clung like damp rot, Channel 6 spinning me as a killer. Tasha was hidden, scared, her job stolen by Vance's lies. The note. "Your medals, they know," was a fading pulse, its sender silent. I'd run from the raid, my boots pounding Georgia's back streets, landing in this lot by dawn. My burner phone was dead, Anita's number useless. General Marcus Tate's photo, creased in my pocket, was my last anchor, his Vietnam grin, his promise. "I'm there, Calvin." I'd called him after the video smear, begged for help. He'd sprung me from jail, but Vance's claws were deeper, his bomb threat branding me a fugitive. Now, hiding among twisted metal, I prayed Tate's Pentagon clout could still reach me. Midday, a low hum broke the silence, a drone, its lens glinting. I ducked, heart racing, Vietnam's choppers flashing back. It passed, but my gut screamed. They're close. I needed cover, not this open grave. I trekked west, sticking to alleys. until dusk led me to a rural barn 20 miles out. Its wood splintered, hay sour. I slipped inside, the dark swallowing me, and sank into a corner, my breath shallow. My medals pinned inside my jacket, pressed against my chest, a reminder I wasn't done. Sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford, but exhaustion pulled hard. I woke to footsteps, soft but deliberate. My hand closed around a rusted pitchfork. Wore instincts sharp. A silhouette filled the doorway. A woman older, grey braids tight. "Calvin Brooks," she whispered. "Anita sent me. I'm Ruth, friend of the network." I lowered the pitchfork, eyes locked on hers. "Prove it." She tossed me a folded paper, Anita's handwriting. "Trust Ruth, Tate's moving." My shoulders eased, but not much. "What's happening?" Ruth knelt, voice low. "Tate's in Alabama. Landed this morning, Pentagon jet. He's freezing Vance's accounts, demanding a federal probe. His team's coming for you. Safe extraction." My pulse spiked, hope clawing through despair. Tate, my brother from Nam, was here. I pictured Vance sweating, his bank cards dead, feds sniffing his militia ties. "Where's the team?" I asked. Ruth checked her watch. 2 hours out, old airstrip nearby, stay put. She left me a sandwich, a flashlight, and a warning. "Feds are hunting, be sharp." Alone again, I chewed the sandwich, its taste, lost under adrenaline. Tate's arrival was a lifeline, his power a hammer to Vance's glass throne. My land, my name, Tasha's future, they felt close, like a hill we'd take at dawn. I clutched his photo, his grin steadying me. 2 hours. And I'd be free, Vance's lies crumbling. I should have known he'd bite back. Night fell, the barn's cracks letting in moonlight. My flashlight caught a headline on Ruth's crumpled newspaper. "Pentagon General tied to terrorist veteran." My stomach dropped. Channel 6 claimed I'd radicalized Tate, spinning our Vietnam bond as a treasonous plot. Vance's fingerprints were all over it. He'd flipped the script, painting Tate as my puppet. The article quoted a military probe, investigating General Tate's loyalties. My hope cracked, Tate's clout under fire. If they sidelined him, I was alone. Headlights swept the barn, tires crunching gravel. I doused the flashlight, crawling behind hay bales. Voices hard, official cut the air. "Brooks is here, flush him out." Federal marshals, not Tate's team. My breath caught. Vietnam's ambush is alive again. I gripped the pitchfork, counting boots 4, maybe 5. A door splintered, beams sweeping. "Calvin Brooks, surrender," one barked. I bolted for a side hatch, hay scratching my arms, and slipped into the woods, legs pumping. Shots cracked, bark exploding beside me. A bullet grazed my calf. Fire, searing my leg. I stumbled, blood soaking my pant leg, but kept running, branches snapping underfoot. Moonlight guided me to a ditch where I dove, mud swallowing me. The marshals' lights danced, their shouts fading as they fanned out. I pressed, my hand to the wound, pain pulsing, my breath ragged. Tate's team wasn't coming, his probe had grounded them. Vance's lie had poisoned him, turned my savior into a suspect. My medals felt like stones, my honor a joke. The manhunt was tighter now, feds not cops, their bullets real. I tore my sleeve, binding the wound, my mind racing. Anita was out there. Maybe Ruth too, but the network was cracked, Zoe's bloodproof. Tasha's face flashed scared, hiding, counting on me. I'd carried men through worse, dragged them bleeding to safety. This barn, this ditch, this war, it wasn't my end. Vance thought he'd cornered me, his lies chaining Tate, his marshals closing in, but I'd crawled through jungles, survived. Traps? My calf throbbed, but I rose, limping deeper into the woods. Tate's photo crumpled in my fist. I'd find a way for Tasha, for Zoe, for my truth. Vance's throne was shaking, but his fangs were sharp. Mud caked my boots, my calf throbbing where the marshal's bullet had grazed me, a jagged reminder of the midnight chase. At 72, I'd outrun death before Vietnam's jungles, Alabama's traps, but Judge Harlan Vance's war was relentless. Hiding in Georgia's woods, federal manhunt dogs baying in the distance, I felt my silver star's weight pinned inside my jacket. General Marcus Tate, my last hope, was grounded, his Pentagon clout crippled by Vance's lie that I'd radicalized, Him. The note. Your medals, they know, was a ghost. Its promise fading. Tasha, hiding somewhere, was counting on me, her life upended by my fight. Anita, my lawyer, was out there, but the Barnes betrayal, Zoe's death in the safe house raid, burned fresh. I limped through pines, blood seeping through my sleeve-tied bandage, until dawn broke over a rural church, its steeple leaning. A woman stepped out, older, nurse's scrubs peeking under her coat. Her eyes, kind but wary, met mine. You're him, aren't you? The veteran. I froze, hand on Tate's crumpled photo. Don't run, she said, voice soft. Clara, saw you on the news lies, all of it. Come inside. My gut screamed trap, but my legs screamed louder. I followed, collapsing in the church's basement, its walls lined with hymnals. Clara cleaned my wound, her hands steady, stitching me up with thread meant for quilts. You don't deserve this, she muttered, taping gauze. I winced, gratitude mixing with guilt. Why help me? She shrugged. My brother fought in Nam, never got justice either. Her words hit hard, my medals heavy. I pulled a tiny recorder from my pocket, a gift from Nia's network before the raid. I'd caught Vance months ago, his voice dripping venom at Zabar, unaware I was near. Brooks is a cockroach, his kind don't belong here. I handed it to Clara. Get this to Anita Cole, Montgomery. It's my last shot. She nodded, slipping it into her bag. I'll find her. I left at dusk, Clara's directions leading me to a creek bed, my new hideout. My leg burned, but Clara's kindness, her risk, lit a spark. Anita got the recorder 2 days later. I knew because my burner buzzed, her voice electric. Calvin, this tape's gold, Vance's rants, clear as day. I'm leaking it online, anonymous drop, stay low. I crouched in the creek's mud, heart racing. Vance's own words. His hate exposed my truth could finally breathe. By morning, the internet exploded. Anita's leak hit every platform, Vance's voice snarling, Brooks and his kind are a plague. Hashtags, Justice for Calvin, Just Vance Must Fall trended. My rally speech remixed with his slurs. Protests erupted in Montgomery, Birmingham, even Atlanta, crowds chanting my name. Channel 6 tried to bury it, but the video looped on phones, TVs, billboards. Anita called again, breathless. Calvin, the state court spooked. They've set a new hearing to dismiss your charges next week. The governor's watching. I gripped the burner, picturing my land, Tasha's smile, my wife's roses blooming free. Protesters waved signs with my face, my silver star gleaming. In their posts. For the first time since Vance's boy slur, I felt seen, my medals alive. I thought the tide had turned, that truth would crush his lies. I was wrong. 3 days later, Channel 6 ran a new story. Vance claims veterans, tape is fake. Vance, smug in a press conference, called it digital trickery, suing me for defamation, demanding $1 million I didn't have. His allies flooded online, bots and trolls screaming I'd forged it. Public opinion wobbled, some clung to my truth, others bought Vance's spin. Then came the fire. I'd snuck back to Alabama, hiding in a friend's shed 10 miles from my old home. At midnight, my burner buzzed Anita, voice shaking. Calvin, your house, it's gone. I ran, leg aching, to a hill overlooking my street. Flames devoured. My home, the roof collapsing, my wife's rose garden ash. A mob, Vance's militia buddies, cheered, their truck tires painted with slurs. Fire trucks sat idle, cops watching, smirking. My chest caved, every memory. My wife's laugh. Our first dance burned to nothing. Anita's next call was worse. They disbarred me, Calvin. Ethics violations, they claim. Vance's cronies on the bar pushed it through. I sank to my knees, the fire's glow mocking me. Anita, my bulldog, was out. The hearing was still on, but without her, I was naked against Vance's machine. The protests slowed, my hashtags fading. Vance's lawsuit strangling hope. My land, my name. Tasha's future torched like my home. I clutched Tate's photo, his grin useless now, my medals cold. Clara's stitches held, but my spirit bled. Vance's mob, His lies, his power, they'd stripped me bare. I crawled back to the shed, the night pressing in, my recorder's truth drowned by his defamation claim. Anita was gone, Tate silenced, Tasha out of reach. I'd fought for this country, carried men through hell, but this war was breaking me. Yet my pulse still beat, my scars proof I'd survived worse. Vance thought he'd won, his fire a final blow, but I wasn't ash yet. Drop a comment with number 1 if you're raging at Vance's lies burning Calvin's truth and home. Then hit like and subscribe to see this fight's next turn. Can Calvin rise without Anita, or will Vance's defamation bury him deeper? The shed's splintered walls barely held the Alabama cold, my breath fogging as I crouched, 72 years weighing my bones. My old home's ashes still burned in my mind. Vance's mob had torched it, my wife's roses now dust. Judge Harlan. Vance's defamation lawsuit choked my viral expose, his fake tape lie turning protest to whispers. Anita, my lawyer, was disbarred, her fight snuffed out. Tasha hid somewhere, her life shattered by my war. My silver star, pinned inside my jacket, felt like a curse, mocked by Vance's gang trinkets slur. The note, "Your medals, they know," was a cruel joke, its sender silent. General Marcus Tate's photo, creased in my pocket, was my last thread, but his Pentagon clout had crumbled under Vance's treason smear. I'd outrun federal marshals, my calf wound stitched by Clara's hands, but hope was bleeding out. My burner phone, dead since the safe house raid, left me blind. Anita, Tasha, Tate, all out of reach. Zoe's death, Nia's cuffs. My burned home, they piled like stones on my chest. Yet my pulse beat. Vietnam's lessons carved deep. Survive, fight, endure. Dawn broke, grey light seeping through the shed's cracks. A rustle outside snapped, me alert, my hand closing on a broken plank. Footsteps, soft but sure, circled closer. I braced, war instincts flaring, ready to swing. Their voice, low and familiar, hissed, "Calvin, it's Ruth, the church nurse's friend, Anita's ally." I lowered the plank, heart pounding. She slipped inside, her grey braids tucked under a scarf, eyes scanning the dark. "Tate's back," she whispered, handing me a new burner. "Cleared his name, Pentagon's behind him. He's got your case in federal court, Birmingham, tomorrow." My chest tightened, hope flickering like a match in a storm. "Tate's free." Ruth nodded. "Pulled strings, got a judge who hates Vance. Evidence is stacking your tape, bank records, militia ties. You're close, Calvin." She left me the phone and a bus ticket, her warning sharp. "Feds are still hunting. Move fast." I clutched. Tate's photo, his grin a beacon. Federal court, not Vance's circus. Tate's power, my truth, could break this. I boarded a midnight bus, hood up, my leg throbbing but steady. Birmingham's skyline loomed by morning, the federal courthouse a stone giant. Ruth met me at a back alley, slipping me a clean shirt. Tate's inside with lawyers. No Anita. But they've got her files. I nodded, my medals heavy, my fight alive. The courtroom was stark, all polished wood and cold air. Tate sat up front, silver hair gleaming, his general's posture unbroken despite the treason hit. He caught my eye, nodding once, same look he gave me in Nam before a push. The judge, a black woman named Carter, took the bench, her gaze steel. Tate's lawyers, sharp suits from D.C., laid it out. Vance's planted drugs, fake video, militia. Payments, my recorder's rants. Carter leaned forward, her pen scratching notes. "Mr. Brooks," she said, voice calm, "your service record is noted. Silver Star, Vietnam. Impressive." My chest swelled, my truth finally seen. The lawyers played my tape, Vance's cockroach slur echoing, then showed bank transfers, witness statements, even the tow driver's affidavit. Carter's eyes narrowed, pinning Vance's empty chair. He wasn't there, but his shadow loomed. After 3 hours, Carter ruled. "The drug charges against Calvin Brooks are dismissed. Insufficient evidence, clear misconduct." The courtroom exhaled, Tate's fist clenching in victory. I gripped the bench, tears pricking. My name, my honor-free, Tasha's future, my land, my wife's roses, they shimmered, close enough to touch. I hugged Tate outside, his grip iron. "We're not done, Calvin. Vance is next." I nodded, believing justice was mine. Then Vance struck, venomous as ever. That afternoon, Carter called an emergency session. Her face was grim, new papers in hand. "Mr. Brooks, new evidence has surfaced." Tate's lawyers frowned, caught off guard. Carter read aloud. "Charges reinstated drug trafficking, plus inciting terrorism, based on corroborated testimony." My heart stopped. Testimony? From who? The room spun as she continued. "Sentenced to 20 years, effective immediately." Bailiffs grabbed my arms, cuffs snapping tight. Tate shouted, "This is a setup." But Carter's gavel slammed. I saw her eyes flicker. Guilt, maybe fear. Vance's stench was thick. Later, Anita's old contact, a clerk, slipped me a whisper. Vance had bribed Carter, $1 million wired through a shell company with testimony from a paid cop. My drug charges, dead hours ago, were reborn, now laced with terrorism. For the rally, the bomb threat. Vance's own traps pinned on me. Tate's disgrace followed, swift and brutal. Channel 6 ran it that night. General stripped of rank, tied to Brooks' terror plot. His Pentagon career, his legacy, torched by Vance's lies. I sat in a Birmingham cell, the walls closer than before. My sentence, a life I'd never outlive. My medals, my fight, my truth buried under Vance's bribe. Tasha's face haunted me, her hope fading. Anita was gone, Tate broken, Ruth out of reach. The note's promise, they know, was ash, like my home. Vance's smirk, unseen but felt, mocked me through the bars. I'd carried men through hell, survived bullets, but this cage was tighter, its lock greased with his money. My calf wound ached, Clara's stitches pulling. I'd thought federal court was my salvation, Tate's power my shield. Now, 20 years loomed, my spirit cracking. But my scars, my pulse, my Vietnam grit, they whispered, not yet. Vance's throne stood, but I'd shake it even from here. Birmingham's prison cell was a tomb, its steel bars colder than Vietnam's mud at 72. My 20-year sentence, spiked with drug trafficking and inciting terrorism, crushed my bones heavier than the silver star pinned inside. My torn jacket. Judge Harlan Vance's bribe had flipped federal Judge Carter, reviving charges I'd beaten hours before, his $1 million grease burying my truth. General Marcus Tate, stripped of his Pentagon rank for my treasonous tie, was a ghost now. Tasha, hiding, her life broken, haunted my dreams. Anita, disbarred, was silenced. My home's ashes, my wife's roses, Vance had burned it all. The note "Your medals, they know," was a cruel whisper, its sender vanished. My calf, grazed by a marshal's bullet, throbbed under Clara's stitches, but this cell's walls cut deeper. Channel 6 looped my terrorist label, my face, a pariah's. Yet my scars earned dragging men through gunfire pulsed with fight. I'd survived jungles, militias, feds. Vance's throne stood, but I wasn't dead. The prison was a powder keg black and Latino inmates packed in, guards spitting slurs like venom. My first week, a guard, beefy with a shaved head, shoved me against a wall, snarling, "War hero, huh? Just another thug." I stared him down, Vietnam's grit in my eyes, and he backed off, muttering. Word spread Calvin Brooks' silver star wasn't broken. In the yard, under a grey sky, inmates circled me, curious. A young guy, Dre, tattoos curling up his neck, asked, "You really save lives in Nam?" I nodded, voice low. Carried. My squad through hell. Lost some, saved more. Dre's eyes lit, others leaning in. I told them of jungle nights, Tate's orders, my hands bloody but steady. They listened, heads high, seeing themselves in me, not just numbers, but men. By month 2, I was their voice. Dre and others griped about guards beatings, stolen mail, black inmates singled out. I saw Vietnam's chain of command in their eyes. Trust, fight, win. One night, in the mess hall, a guard slammed Dre's tray, spilling slop, laughing, "Eat!" "Fat boy." My blood boiled, Vance's boy slur echoing. I stood, voice calm but iron. "Enough, we're men, not dogs." The hall froze, inmates rising, guards tensing. Dre nodded, others joined, chanting, "No more." It wasn't a riot, not yet a protest. Fists up, voices loud. We demanded fair treatment. No slurs, No fists. The warden, a thin man with pinched lips, met us, promising talks. I felt a spark, my medals alive, leading again. Hope flickered, thin but real. Then Tate moved, his shadow still strong. A new inmate, a quiet guy named Malik, slipped me a note during laundry duty, his eyes darting. "From a civilian friend," he whispered. I unfolded it later, alone. Tate's handwriting, sharp as his old orders. "Calvin, I'm out, but not done. Got Carter's bribe, proof bank wires, emails to a journalist. Hold tight." My heart raced, Tate's fight unbroken despite his disgrace. He'd lost his stars, but not his soul. 2 days later, the prison's rec room TV flickered to CNN, not Channel 6. A breaking story. Federal judge bribed in veterans case. The journalist, a young woman with fire in her voice, showed Tate's evidence, Carter's million, Vance's shell company, the cop's fake testimony. My face flashed, my rally speech, my medals gleaming. The anchor said, "Calvin Brooks's sentence suspended, pending review." Inmates cheered, Dre slapping my back. "You're free, OG." I gripped the bars, tears pricking. My name, my honor, breathing again. The warden called me, voice tight. "Brooks, you're out tomorrow. Paperwork's moving." I pictured Tasha's smile, my land, a new dawn. Tate had done it, his civilian grit outshining Vance's lies. I thought I'd won, that truth had cracked the cage. Then Vance's fangs sank deep. That night the cell block erupted. Shouts, metal clanging, boots stomping. Guards, not inmates, sparked it, their batons swinging, eyes wild. "Brooks started this," one yelled, pointing at me. A riot, staged. My name the match. Inmates scattered, some fighting, others cowering. I dove under a bunk, my calf wound screaming, as a guard's shank flashed. It grazed my ribs, blood blooming, pain like fire. Dre pulled me up, shouting, "Move!" We ran, dodging batons until guards cornered us, cuffs snapping. The warden's office TV played Channel 6, Brooks leads prison riot. Vance's script, his money in the guards' pockets. They dragged me to solitary, a 6x6 hole, no light, no sound. Blood dripped from my ribs, my jacket torn, my medals cold. The warden leaned in, voice venom. "Vance wants life for you. Brooks, ringleader rapsticks." The door slammed, darkness swallowing me. My sentence, just lifted, was dust. Vance's riot frame up tighter than Carter's bribe. Tate's proof. The journalist's fire couldn't reach me here. Tasha's hope, my wife's roses, my fight locked in this void. My ribs ached, Clara's stitches pulling, but my pulse beat, Vietnam's lessons alive. Endure, outlast, fight. Vance thought this hole was my grave, his paid riot my end, but I'd crawled through worse, carried men through death. My scars, my truth, weren't done. Solitary's dark pressed, but I whispered Tate's name, my medals weight a vow. Vance's throne stood, but I'd shake it, even from this pit. Solitary's darkness clung to me like damp earth, the 6x6 cell a grave for my 72 years. My ribs stung where the guard's shank had grazed me, blood crusting under my torn shirt. Judge Harlan Vance's staged prison riot had framed me as a ringleader, his paid guards locking me in this hole, pushing for a life sentence. My silver star hidden inside my jacket was a faint pulse against his lies. Tasha, hiding, her life broken, was my anchor. General Marcus Tate, disgraced but fighting, had smuggled proof of the federal judge's bribe, suspending my sentence. The note, "Your medals they know," was a shadow, its truth buried. Anita disbarred, Zoe dead, my home's ashes. Vance's war had stripped me bare. Yet my scars, earned in Vietnam's jungles, whispered, "Fight on." The prison's silence broke on day 10, keys rattling. A guard, not one of Vance's, opened the door, his face neutral. "Brooks, you're out. Move." I blinked, my eyes burning. "In the light." "Why?" he shrugged. "News went big. You're wanted upstairs." I shuffled to the warden's office, my leg wound throbbing under Clara's stitches, my ribs aching. The TV blared CNN, not Channel 6. Nationwide protests demand judge's arrest. The journalist Tate used, her voice sharp, showed more evidence. Vance's bank wires, militia orders, my recorder's rants. My face flashed, my rally speech, my medals gleaming. Protests choked Montgomery, signs reading "Free Calvin Brooks." The anchor said, "Brooks sentence suspended, retrial set for Monday." My knees buckled, Dre's cheer from the mess, hall echoing in my mind. The warden, sour, handed me papers. "You're released, Brooks. Retrial's in town. Don't push your luck." I clutched Tate's photo, his civilian grit a lifeline. Released, I stepped into Birmingham's sun. My boots scuffing free ground. A new lawyer sent by Tate met me, a young black woman named Lena, her eyes fierce like Anita's. "Calvin, Tate's funding us. We've got Vance's emails, witnesses, everything. Monday we end him." I nodded, picturing Tasha's smile. My land, my wife's roses reborn. Protests roared on TV, Atlanta, D.C., Chicago. My name a rallying cry. I thought Vance's throne was cracking, my truth finally loud. Then his militia rose, darker than ever. I hid in a safe house Lena arranged, a dingy motel 10 miles from town. Sunday night my burner buzzed Tasha's number, but not her voice. A man, cold, growled, "Brooks, we got your niece. Surrender by dawn, or she's dead." My heart stopped. Tasha's scream faint in the background. "Uncle Cal!" The line cut. Lena grabbed my arm. "It's Vance's militia. They're blockading the town, saying no black hero walks free." I saw it on TV Channel 6, of course. Armed men. Vance's goons, sealing roads, their leader barking, "Brooks is a terrorist. We protect our town." My ribs ached, my medals heavy. Tasha, my blood in their hands. I'd fought for this country, carried men through hell, but this was my war's ugliest turn. Lena wanted to call feds, but I shook my head. "They'll kill her. I'm going in." She cursed but nodded, slipping me a map of militia checkpoints. Vietnam's tactics, stealth, speed, surprise surged back. I moved at midnight, black clothes, my leg wound screaming but ignored. The town, my home, was a fortress now. Militia trucks patrolling, their radios crackling. I slipped through woods, my boots silent, avoiding floodlights. A checkpoint loomed, 2 men, rifles slung, laughing about, teaching Brooks a lesson. I waited, heart steady, then tossed a rock, their heads turning. I crawled past, mud masking, my scent from their dogs. By 3, I reached the town's edge, a warehouse Vance's men used. Tasha was inside. I felt it, her courage pulling me. I scouted, spotting guards, 6 total, their chatter sloppy. My war skills mapped it entry through a side vent, low and quiet. I pried it open, my ribs burning, and slid in, the dark swallowing. Me. Tasha's voice, muffled, guided me to a locked room. I picked the lock, Vietnam's trick steadying my hands, and found her, bound, eyes wide but fierce. "Uncle Cal," she whispered, "they're everywhere." I cut her ropes, my heart easing, but footsteps echoed, guards closing in. We ducked behind crates, my arm around her, her breath fast. I led us to the vent, her smaller frame slipping. Through my bulk scraping. Outside we ran, woods our shield, but a spotlight caught us, a militia truck roaring. I shoved Tasha behind a tree, my body her cover like at the rally. Bullets chipped bark, my ribs screaming. I counted shooters 3, sloppy aim. We zigzagged, my war tactics sharp, reaching a ditch as dawn broke. Tasha clung to me, safe, but the retrial was hours away. The courthouse 5 miles off. Lena's burner buzzed in my pocket. She'd meet us, but warned, "Vance has got a final play." I felt it, his shadow thicker than the militia's guns. We reached a clearing, Lena's car waiting, but a red dot danced on Tasha's chest, a sniper. Vance's last trap perched somewhere high. My heart froze. Vietnam's ambush is alive. I pushed Tasha down, scanning trees, the courthouse clock ticking in my mind. The retrial was my shot, but Vance's sniper was his checkmate. Tasha's, life his leverage. My medals, my scars, my fight, they led here to this moment. My niece in the crosshairs, Vance's militia closing. I'd outsmarted his blockade, saved Tasha, but his throne stood, his hate endless. My ribs bled, my leg burned, but I stood. Tasha behind me, my eyes locked on the sniper's glint, ready for the retrial's war. The sniper's red dot danced on Tasha's chest, a heartbeat from ending her, as dawn bled over the Alabama clearing. At 72, my ribs stung from the prison shank, my calf burned from the marshal's bullet, but my silver star, pinned, inside my jacket, pulsed with defiance. Judge Harlan Vance's militia had blockaded the town, kidnapped Tasha, and now his sniper pinned us, his final trap to stop my retrial. Tasha, trembling behind me, was my blood, my reason. I'd outsmarted his goons, slipped through their checkpoints with Vietnam stealth, but this rifle's glint was Vance's checkmate. Lena's car idled nearby, her voice hissing through the burner. "Calvin, courthouse, now!" The retrial was minutes away, my truth's last stand. I scanned the trees, spotting the sniper's perch, a water tower, 200 yards off. My war tactics clicked. Distract, move, survive. I whispered to Tasha, "When I say run, hit the car." Her eyes, wide but fierce, nodded. I grabbed a rock, hurling it at a bush, its rustle drawing the sniper's aim. "Run!" We bolted, my body shielding hers, bullets spitting dirt. Lena gunned the engine, tires screaming as we dove in, the car fishtailing toward town. My ribs screamed, blood seeping, but Tasha was alive, her hand gripping mine. The courthouse loomed, a brick fortress swarmed by protesters, their signs free, Calvin Brooks blazing in the sun. Lena shoved me toward a side door, her lawyer's badge flashing past cops. "Tate's inside," she said. "Go." I limped in, my jacket torn, my medals heavy. Tasha safe with Lena's friend. The courtroom was a battlefield, packed with faces, some cheering, others spitting hate. Vance sat in the gallery, his smirk sharp as a blade, his malicious threat lingering. I stood, battered but unbowed, my eyes locking his. He thought I'd break, his snipers miss a fluke. He didn't know my scars, earned in Vietnam's fire, carried me here. The new judge, a gray-haired man named Ellison, took the bench, his gaze calm but piercing. Lena stood, her voice steel, laying out Vance's crimes-planted drugs, fake videos, militia cash, the bribed Judge Carter. Then Tate walked in, no uniform, his general's stars gone, but his presence a hammer. He took the stand, his voice low, commanding. Pentagon audits traced Vance's bribes millions through shell companies, to cops, Carter, even prison guards. He framed Calvin Brooks, a Silver Star hero, my brother from Nam. Tate's eyes met mine, same look from 75 when we saved 12 men. He slid papers to Ellison bank wires, emails, my recorder's rants. The crowd hushed, Vance's smirk fading. Lena played my tape, Vance's voice snarling. "Brooks is a cockroach, his kind don't belong." Gasps rippled, protesters outside chanting louder. Ellison's face hardened, his pen scratching notes. I leaned forward, my medals alive, my truth roaring. Tate stepped down, his hand brushing my shoulder, a soldier's vow. Lena called me next. I stood, ribs aching, voice steady. "I fought for this country, saved lives, earned my star. Vance stole my home, my name, my niece's future. I'm no terrorist, I'm Calvin Brooks, and I want justice." The room erupted, claps drowning Vance's scowl. Ellison raised a hand, silencing them. He leaned forward, eyes on me. "Mr. Brooks, your record speaks Silver Star Vietnam unblemished. This court sees you." He turned to the evidence, then Vance. "Harlan Vance, your actions disgrace this system." Ellison's gavel fell like thunder. "All charges against Calvin Brooks are overturned. Vance, you're under arrest for bribery, conspiracy, and obstruction." The courtroom exploded, cheers shaking the walls. Bailiffs lunged for Vance, but he bolted, shoving through the crowd, his suit jacket flapping. I stood frozen, my heart pounding, as federal agents tipped by Tate's audits swarmed the hall, tackling Vance to the marble floor. His cuffs snapped, his smirk gone, his throne ash. Lena hugged me, her eyes wet. "You did it, Calvin." Tate gripped my arm, his grin fierce. "We did, brother." Outside, protesters roared, my name a victory cry. Channel 6 cameras rolled, but CNN's anchor called me hero, my medals gleaming on every screen. I breathed free air, my land promised back, Tasha's future bright. But a twist waited, sharp as the sniper's dot. Lena pulled me aside, her voice low. Tasha's rescue, it was a decoy. She was safe all along, hidden by Ruth. Vance's men grabbed a lookalike, thinking it'd break you. My jaw dropped, relief flooding, then dread. Tasha stepped from a car unharmed, her hug fierce. "Uncle Cal, I'm okay." But Lena's next words chilled me. "Vance's militia sent a message they're not done. There's a bigger network. Deeper than him." I clutched Tasha, my medals heavy, Vance's cuffs not the end. His goons, his hate lived on, a shadow sprawling beyond Alabama. I was hailed a hero, my truth free, but the war wasn't over. My ribs ached, my scars burned. But I stood tall, Tasha beside me, Tate's nod steady. Vietnam taught me one thing. You fight, even when the jungle grows darker. Vance was down, but his poison lingered, a larger beast stirring. My land, my name, my family, they were mine. But the fight, my fight, stretched on, its end a horizon I'd chase, unbowed. Calvin Brooks's saga teaches us resilience against systemic injustice. His fight, as a black veteran facing a racist judge's wrath, shows that truth can endure even when buried under lies. At 72, Calvin's Silver Star wasn't just a medal, it was a symbol of his unyielding spirit, forged in Vietnam's jungles and tested by Harlan Vance's hate. Every blow stolen land, false charges, a burned home aimed to break him, yet he stood, his scars proof of survival. The story reveals the cost of racism, not just to Calvin but to Tasha, whose job was ripped away, and to allies like Anita, disbarred for fighting. It exposes how power, wielded by a racist system, twists justice. Vance's bribes, militias and media, lies nearly crushed a hero. But Calvin's grit, Tate's loyalty, and the protesters' roar show collective strength can topple thrones. The twist, Tasha's decoy rescue, and the militia's lingering threat warns that racism's roots run deep, demanding vigilance beyond one victory. We learn to fight, not just for ourselves but for those beside us, to question narratives and to honor truth over comfort. Calvin's story isn't just his. It's a call to stand tall, to carry others through fire, and to never let hate win. Drop a comment with number 1 if you've faced or fought injustice like Calvin, then like, subscribe and share to amplify his truth. Thank you for joining this journey. May you find strength to challenge wrong and build a just tomorrow.